abusiafo na Kwame Bediako Cheddar aka freedom or day ni visions a opese oye e de boa Ghana ba na wen kwa ni vision is a anase we na mahu nipa bia otumi se we de nipa we de owo vision na ade ba kwa me di ho ya one se ye maamefo na omo wo dwem na sebi wan ko school no mbe da tiase nanka me pese nka satam nanka all kind vision all kind nyoma no 12 pillars na nyoma nka pese oba Ghana nka obeye no nanka obi nso wo ha wo techi nanka oginam nanka o kyerɛkyerɛ mu otwi e de ma ye maame na sebi omantini anko school no ye maame no omo wo dwem na omo ton nyoma na omo nim akyerɛkyerɛ omo nim akenkan no ye maame na omo wo fie na omo ntimi read no because youth for ne de ye beto aba no na emo ye maame na omo wo fie no so omo nhyɛ omo nte ase ne se omo ni ba bia obekɔ akɔkyerɛkyerɛ nyoma nipa pese oye akyerɛ omo like me fan se nyoma na obeka o ayi ni so nyina 12 pillars ni visions na obeka ni nyina omo nte hwe he oka nyoma ni step by step no timu se omo se nipa ye nhida nyini ni de but ne nyoma na oka na timu se eto asumu like me timu se nyansa wom ana osanso the fact ba ofa we free ha no ofa we free ha no waka we abom no waka we abom meme de kakra menim no ene won na obetimi ahwe me channel no de me kyerɛkyerɛ ni nyina mu otwi se de be ya ye ma me fo no ene won na ohwe na sebi wontimi enkenkan wontimi entwere do omo beti ase the 12 visions of Nana Kwame Bediako Cheddar for Ghana. Number 1, run a government of only 12 ministers. Now Ghana ni ye kasesia na Ghana ni ye ministers be 245 fa ye tua obiaka obia da V18 obia de Land Cruiser enso ye hu enioma omoyema Ghana.
Apostolic governance, the 12 ministries. I mean, apostolic governance, it's a title, it's some title right here, but it's the 12 ministries. They say less is more. Our government will be the leanest, most efficient in the history of African politics. We present to you the apostolic governance, 1 president, 12 ministers. Create a lean government that will be responsible for the 12 pillars. Now let me start. I'm going to press this, like when you go into one of these, maybe we can press one of them, and let's pick one. I'll take you through a few of the ministerial mandates, because I think it's very important that you know what they have to do. So we start with Ministry of Finance. Over the years, there has been a lot of judgment debts, a lot of salary shortage, a lot of paying and paying and paying without returns. We realize that, not to put blames on anyone, that the Ministry of Finance is struggling. So our mandate is to make the Ministry of Finance become an investor and a developer for the nation building. It should be their responsibility. They should be accountable for it. You know, we want them to be able to go to the sovereign fund, the IMF, and ask for 10 billion for a project that would be supervised, monitored, controlled by us. Our investment going into industrial, going into commercial, going into retail, we should be a part of it, and we should control it. And there should be returns. We should not just use our Ministry of Finance for spending. We should use our Ministry of Finance for investment. We have to purchase for right purposes that brings returns. The returns that will pay the salary of the workers of this country. And that's how it should circulate, just to stabilize our economy. I can pick maybe trade as well. Well, trade, it's been like a dormant ministry for me over the past decade. And the mandate for trade is to make Ghana one of the biggest African exporters. The aim of having all of these 16 industrial, regional industrial revolution, and having a development in minerals and agro processing and packaging and food and this and that, is to be able to trade. Now let's think about AFTA. AFTA is a big project. That's 54 countries of Africa have registered with AFTA. What were they thinking? They don't have the resources. They don't have the product to distribute among these 54 countries. Where was the product going to come from? Were we going to import it? Or somebody else was going to come and put these plants in this country and trade in Africa? Ghana stands to be the flagship, the star, the black star of Africa that will have the power of distribution. They have the waters connected to the coast that can just distribute regionally and continentally.
Now, say the news to be able to be honest, asase at that cantonment, asase at that Accra no, ya tontono like £1,000. What about £1,000 more? 183,000 Ghana cedis. What about her? Almost £1,000. And ya ton asase they member ministers for just a me o ma toni nyina di. Unhu adwuma bia ministers for we. Your Minister of Finance, Minister of Road, Minister of this, Minister of Agriculture, and so the minister bia eye Ghana. Ana akatua no ye chese omo gisika die oso oba obayi ni nyina atu ama na be 12 pe video ni dosu dia to aso say raise $50 billion by monetizing Ghanaian citizenship. People will invest in return for Ghana passport. Now see ebe share nso afi biara December biara no amount for ba Ghana. Omoba Ghana for holidays, omoba Ghana for tourism, omoba Ghana for family reunion, this anyoma no. Now no, the order to one say obe citizenship no. Say ope say onya passport, e wo say obetua sika bi. Niam o passport to be said be ya o ba, o be hen han. What I say? E bia o ba ya ofi bia be wo ho but unya sa passport na o ka say o ba Ghana pe obeba free. Unhia visa. So obi America no pese obeya dwapade bi wo Ghana, opese obe build business bi wo Ghana. Onya apply for citizenship na otimi ba mu free ebe ya dwapade, otimi ba mu be business, otimi ba mu be company. Na sa omo ya sa nyoma we nyina no, sika omo betuatua. Eno no say ye kase ye betimi generate $50 billion. Based on number of people omo returning omo ba Ghana da bia omo apply visa da ba Ghana da bia no. Or the year calculations no 50 billion and obetime generate.
One, to invite these Africans to truly become a part of Ghana as African and raise this 50 billion. But guess what? There's a phase 2 of this money raising. And it's a grand invitation of people of African descent. History will tell the rest. Now we either move forward together or we stand still, separated. And it's one of my favorite pillars. The 10th pillar. It's just a great news for us, Ghana. It's just a great news. We found a solution.
We kwa de yenye we your passport or mo ye keke o. Enti we kwa de ono ankasa invest wo. And said they waba ha na kwem se wo UK ha say 5 years aso amount for apply for passport no me nwie kra no na metua over £2,000 nipa ba ko pe o £2,000 nipa ba ko na de nkenkan se nkan nipa 50 billion na okrom ha and also the emphasis higher ndru 50 billion mum but the emphasis say nipa 50 yeah we the emphasis nipa be 10 million and obi atua £2,000 wow sha sen wo de ye mass no se mfon se nipa dodo a oboba Ghana ekonya na obi atua sa sika na plans we nyina wo ho enso MPP fo hu NDC fo hu print our own monies have a borderless continent for trade and investment and unify Africa as one and no mo frɛ no United States of Africa no obeka Africa nyina bom eno no hu se mpanifo ni bia started try ya antimi ankosi aga ye kuku gunkum nipa ni bi wom but o say de wadi kan aye good ni say we wo Africa we na we kwa Africa we a eno an say person koye investment a borderless eno an say wo work akoye say European countries you want say over Europe ha European countries say wo Italy na say wo ko Germany a unhia visa because say wo permit wo already and say because wo ye Italian wo free Italy na ko Switzerland wo ko Sweden wo ko Spain Oko Belgium and unhia visa unhia hwe eno asa ofa our passport ana oko enti sa wo pese okoye investment bi wo sa akro no a oko a free no akoye enye nansan na UK for free Brexit ni mu na nanka wo pese oko UK koye Italy koye ya wo UK passport a wo passport ana oko but every say Brexit ne ba ni ntina ema adwuma mebre elusi wo companies mebre egui e wo UK ha because now the European countries no more doso. Won so we ba akopɛ nti wo ban asa wo be wo ka sɛ umma obi antimi ma ha freely na yeso mo betu aka na omu adwuma na nkoso nko na wate ho nti saa dia o move company no e de akɔ other European countries ni so eno na o ma ya ama se UK for omu ahokyere kakra ba mu no nti se otimi ka Africa nyina bom na se obi atimi kɔ ba bia akɔyɛ investment kɔyɛ adwuma kɔyɛ nneoma se ebe masika aba kronim umpe we na opɛde and this is for about 24-hour economy. And then I share the say if there is no industrialization, a 24-hour economy and cost because here my men are multi-dream no or muntimin quatraho 24 hours and can say and running shift and can say we have a tomako 8 hours into another person about a tomako another 8 hours ebia 6 to 2 2 to 10 and 2 because anajuna me madano when I could dija and I do the sumu by 1 a.m. and I be before as I iso say 24-hour economy.
A machine, a plant is the only thing that can give you jobs in 3 different shifts. 8 hours times 3 a day. That is what I call 24-hour economy. You need industrialization. Who sells Gary for 24 hours in Makola? The women in Kejetia and Kantamanto cannot work for 24 hours. It would take a factory. It would take a plant, a production line to give 3 shifts a day. No industrialization, no 24-hour economy. I have brought you your economic freedom. With all this potential, how do we connect our regions and transport the supplies on the industrial scale? That takes you to pillar 2. We've just finished with pillar 1.
Enti se munye industries ebetima ya phones ebetima produce we ebe use machines why na bekwa because 24 hours it should be machines na nipa akọ operate machines no enti wa ho ne kwa na ebe use na be kakra bi say 24 hours economy. Number 4 also obe change SSNIT for international insurance fund. Contributors can go for their monies at any time. SSNIT na wo Ghana na omubobo fa sika sem ne sa nyoma no obe change ni nyina ko national fund ti se wo ye investors bi na person do sika shem obetimi do sika shem na wo person okoyi so a tam wo person okoyi bi watimi akoyi me se vision na ekura akwawe vision ekura akwawe no me se sanka ye satam na Jesus buy na kanya nkopon be man nsa so aka se we ni me doba na wo so mani
wo ni me doba wo na wo so mani.
Tinesi nyanse ni ba akufo bitrim na NDC ni NPP for there omo manifesto no mo de buy na there abusua. Number 4 say create national sovereign wealth fund to replace IMF, no borrowing. NPP for ba so me busa o busia senko na yabo busia me bre busia me bre o se obo be create fund a ye de sika be hye da akogum se da be ye hia sika anya fe ne ye ko busia ye kom ni akoyi sika ye kom ni akoyi sika ukọ so ahwe video na o kyerɛkyerɛ mu how ya be ya sa nneoma we nyina wo de on kyerɛkyerɛ mu nimpo adwen na wo de aba ne kra timi ma wo sɛ akwa we nyansa wo ni trim yanko boroboro sika rough bia. Number 6 construct Ghana's first water transportation and 8,000 kilometers of railway line across the country. Me say country bia be ko yi a ejina mu train so country biara omotumpon bia no hwe se train ye adwuma wo ma Uber UK ha train te sika a generated in my country no train cry a generate almost about 10%. Train no mo de kwa nyoma train no mo de say and nyoma plane ni cargo ni sa no mo ntimi fa no o ma connect mo say train the way ko na match say bibia kwa wa no train.
So let's go to pillar 2. Pillar 2 is the water transportation and inter-regional railway connectivity. This is Ghana's first water transportation. Now, as you can see, in the olden days, our fathers really had respect for these natural resources that we came to meet. But today, we don't have value for it anymore. I can enlarge it for you to see. So this is Cape Coast. Right here this river, River Pra, and I'm so sorry to mention what has happened to it, but we'll get to that. River Pra leads all the way to Ofin and goes over there to Anum and goes there to Birim and to Koforidia. So here is Kumasi right here. Okay, you can see it. Now what we have to do is something called industrial dredging. You can go back and look at countries like Egypt that have used and dredged and had canals that generate 9.4 billion a year. The canals are meant for a lot of things, and the water transportation are also meant for a lot of things with what we're about to industrialize with the 16th Industrial Revolution. Now, not only that, I know I've been talking about waters, but I know that's not the only infrastructure that you need for transportation or for logistics. The railway network is part of our vision. Our vision is to develop a comprehensive railway network exceeding 8,000 kilometers. That is 1.5 million tons of steel. It will be very difficult to import this from outside. That's why we have our eyes on the iron ore in the Industrial Revolution, and some is in the eastern and some are other parts of Ghana. We will be able to manufacture our own steel and create that 8,000 kilometer railway track that will cost us billions of dollars if we had to give it out on contract, and connect and build the eastern corridor, the western corridor. And guess what? The gist of this vision is to also drive the railways to the 3 borders that faces Ghana. The one in Togo, the one in Burkina Faso, and the one to Ivory Coast. When it gets to the edge, we stop. That is us creating new transportation and logistical path, and not remain on the colonial roads that was built for us. Now we're making our own paths to distribute our own goods. But when it gets to the border, the government of that country is responsible to continue. This is going to give us a railway and a speedway around West Africa. Once every country continues from there. Well, I'd like to tell you something. It's likely when we get to the border, Ghanaians will be contracted to continue the railways. Because guess what? We will have the steel, we will have the skills. Just like what the English did to Europe. Once you have the skills, once you have the funds, and once you have the reserves, and you have industrial power, you're in control.
Build a food and gold reserve to serve Ghana for the next 100 years. Or say amount for me free close to China for ba, Japan for ba, America for ba. Now o ma be two gold no mo de nyina ko mu krom. Se no so de mra bia ba ho. Won na Ghana kwa na o mutu galamsey no se nka obeka o mu nyina bom. Na nka o ma tu galamsey no e de ama government of Ghana. Enti no sa no o mo be implement enema o mo be tu nsuo be hohoro gold no amane nkobọ ebia river pramo amane nkobọ sinim amane nse ye natural resources na wo Ghana no nsuo na wo mantam na SSN no ankobe ye nyina into factory into omu tu nsuo no na omu renew na omu sati nsuo na ho esa de hohoro gold no eno ana opese oye e de Ghana. Eti sa galamsey no sa ne oma we nyina no gold no nso no ye ko trade a ye bia ye kobo bosia kro beka se sei ane ye wo ho in gold enti me ye wosia sei ye de no besia wo wa ne yetimi akoye ye ne etu amoka back. Ghana for the electricity company akosia wo wa omo de habo akosia wo wa omo de oil say ye oni hwe wo Ghana. Or say number 8, make Ghana a tech hub. Build a nuclear power plant and construct a renewable energy infrastructure. Well, who said your co-voter, you unso be brave or how you bet generate electricity? You unso be brave or Ghana mantamo, your minerals or natural resources, a bet generate electricity. And electricity didn't go or Becky can now boom now or the aye, I'm a Ghana at Tinyade, a tumpon. Nyan say ka electricity buokoi and attack carbon so e be ko betimi generate e betimi sa electricity ni be my industrialization akoso and na wo dwen ho o can step way no join it way na link no say e make sense because o be say o person we industrialization a wo di machines for mebrebe ya adwuma Uhia energy resources betima promote betima generate electricity ama saa nyoma we nyina akoso. Ehe na benya electricity no volta region nsuo na da kakra no no ana ye becha no ye electricity afrim. Vision awo nipa nani so biewani na ya me ye ebia Ghana youth no ebia na akomo obi 20,000 Ghana cedi enu nti no anto ama new force ka youth no be ya kasi Kenya ye ka etribo mu se o de emom ye nim se NDC amboye NPP amboye ye try hwe ye money 4 years o de ye try ahwe. Number 9, change the curriculum by leveraging on skills that turn students into entrepreneurs and not job seekers. Ghana I was like a school ko changing in apprenticeship we na nka wo pa adwuma obi akoye mechanical engineering enso ombie motor so da ombie car engine so da obi akoye civil engineering enso onim hwe about any civil engine obi chese ye what theories ni guye trim about practicals no ye chese utimi ko University of Ghana utimi ko University of we obekwa akoye aye asua theory na enso na wonye practical da. Hey, even Ghana, na science students, it means sua theories ni guye trim ha oba ebe ma formulas ye be generate bibia A to Z amount but o de machine be see ani mu wa hekra kire say ehe na on and off cry because ye ni machine ni bi tie sua theories na guye trim we ana na Kwame Bediako say oba obesisem.
Industrification. It's industrialization with education coming together. We coined this word by merging industrialization and education. Why do we continue to use a curricula and a syllabus that are over a century old? And why is it talking about Europe and America? Why can't you study about your ground? Why don't you know about how to dig your gold? Why does it have to take somebody to come from outside to find where your gold is? Why do you have to give your cocoa to someone before he turns it to chocolate for you? What happened? What happened to you knowing about your sea, that you have oil in there and it can create petrol for you? We need to educate Ghanaian children about Ghanaian values, culture, minerals, the minerals and how it gets processed, and agriculture and the values that can come out of it, the power of supply and distribution. We need to de-westernize the curriculum. And that's exactly what we're doing. We need to build an industrial mindset, very important. Industrialize the curricula, tailor education to our industrial needs. And out of that, we're going to start building entrepreneurs. We're going to start building industrialists. We're going to start building business leaders. See, what I've realized about Ghana's education is you spend 21 years of educating yourself, and then after, you go look for a job, only to find out that there are no vacancies. When you can be a businessman before you even get your degree.
Mama skills am de be ye adwuma te wo awie no na wo nsa no adwuma wo be wie no na wotimi se usua we a we na wo sua ho adwuma adwuma wo ha wo koye enye se wo be bo degrees ni nyina na da betra ho na de mobile money enkeka mobile money nko de se nka nko school ka wonya hu numbers 1 2 3 tim hu 1 2 mathematics ka kra bi duru JHS 1 na nka oja na nka be mobile money because ska de obi a nim ska obi aya do ska no asa obo calculator kra be kire o but ensa no adwuma bi akoye mechanical engineering obi akoye civil engineering obi engineer enso no oton mobile money obi engineer no oton float obi engineer no oton graphic. Number 10, all our mineral resources put on a blockchain to prevent galamsey. Galamsey sometimes won't even blame mo senka owadwuma ye senka sika o man mu a why na be kwose okotutu form senka otimi kwotena office anase otimi ko industry bi e cooperate machine e ma bosome so yetimi tua ka be £1,000 a anka why na be kwose okotutu form ama e bia okowura asase ne so kra amana be bu ogu ne so why Kenya machines na be yesa adwuma yo but esa say adwuma ni kro ni mu ndi wo se kwabra ne wo hye amnam. Number 11, build a national Web3 platform and migrate all statutory and national data to a blockchain platform to curb corruption.
Now let's go to Pillar 11. Pillar 11 is interesting also, and it's national security and data protection. I mean, we have national security, but we should remember this. Data is the new blood. and we must secure it. We need the data. That's why we're building the data centers. That's why we're minting. That's why we're building the blockchain and the Web3. The Web3 to store the data and information of this continent. Our aim is to build Ghana's first Web3 platform to support the National Sovereign Wealth Fund. Migrate all national data to a national Web3 platform and store our health records. I mean, to build this government blockchain, it should have the department to really store our health records, our academic records, our stocks of commodities, and agro reserves.
National data ni nyina sika se ni enima ewo internet obie nim how much eda ho sika se eda ha se we se eda ha obie atimi have access enti wuntimi me corrupt se we awia aka wo ya be chew because ye be ko ni ho we ana build Hollywood studios, help artists own their catalogs, musicians earning reasonable royalties and owning the distribution and recording platforms. Osi oba anka omuna omobo football no your Messi and Ronaldo sunu ewo Ghana. It's obe academy ewo all the 16 regions no. Enti no owo 16 regions na obo na na ehu na ye do transfer na we aba sa na etimi kamekura de nka senka wotimi ekwa academy na wie na unya ba bi sia. I wasn't going to 10%. Edema government na our Ghana, baby, I could be a bajiscabia. Said a baby, bit him society, I share 1 hour banimuno. I'm almost on football career and acronym.
We're now becoming victims to the international world for those who have trained theirs and made theirs better. And that's sports and the creative industry. Well, I know that Ghana has breeded a lot of stars, musicians, footballers, but how many of them? You can probably count them. Our approach to the sports and creative industry is ownership and control. We need this. We need ownership and control. We have to own the academies, own the music catalogs, and own the distribution power. How are we going to do this? Let's start by the sports. I mean, first of all, everybody watches football from outside every day, and they actually depend on it. But hey, we can invest in the sports sector, basketball, lawn tennis, and boxing, and etc. Well, this is our plan. First, we're going to build 16 multifunctional sports academies in all the regions, because we don't know where Ronaldo is, we don't know where Messi is. You can find them in any of the region, and therefore we're not going to discriminate. We make sure that there are academies to search for these talents everywhere in Ghana, and we're going to nurture them, grow them, own them, and they also have to own us. But let's go to entertainment. Entertainment for me is very interesting. You know, we have the likes of some of the greatest artists coming from this country, you know, and we go way back from Osibi says when they made it to the international platform, but we couldn't protect or secure their royalties because we didn't even build the machine. Today, the New Falls have decided to build the right machine for pushing the Publishing Act that protects the IP of our content creators. I mean, you're talking from bloggers to influencers to YouTubers, authors, painters, musicians, music softwares and filmmakers and software licenses, all of this. We have to protect it. We have to claim the royalties. And we have to make sure that it's circulating in our economy because they're part of us. You know, to allow artists to hold on to their catalogs such that they're not sold for patents. That's one. Two, we need to build a world-class studio. Ghana is the black star of Africa. This studio needs to be in Ghana. We need to build that studio, that Hollywood type studio, that Tyler Perry studio type. And that is going to attract the market.
Also, oh, a musician, obe put system in place. Ubetimi only o catalog. Ubetimi earn royalties. Say Ghana for artists ni me bro, Afrobeat artists or obey a jumanya 10 million, and so the ban account to me about 500k. I didn't say because in royalties in America, because company be or omo ana managing omo ana ehwe no. Enti no, che say obe wie obe to the music career in a wie. Na sika kura ban account to me in a month no. In duru be £1,000. na Kwame Bediako so oba obeye we nyina sports for benyo mo de ye ma me no mo market for benyo mo de o se obetime generate in the next 10 years no obe generate adwuma be 8 million jobs na o calculate onim o makro bia no ama figures o na wanye we ya kamenim se Ghana se sika o country ni musa I mean akufo ado ba hwehwehwehwe bo mebre ni ade ankosi aga mahama mu nyina he akufo ado say na the visions na no kran say ne modu but kwata ana manfo ka say akufo ado ba vision bi sa na no but yan ho hwe but me bompa ye say ka wo the youth for ne man the chance ba ko bi ne try hwe because they tell make us ya try NDC o ya try NPP ya try o mu nyina o man timi anya hwe ama Ghana o mu ye bi wo de em so mu ye bi but o man timi anya ni nyina ye ma de obetimi so be ye kakra minim say na Bediako bi crop so timi nyina but obetimi ye be 80% because some of the things now obobobo wa hana you don't need money to invest in that. For instance, citizenship, you don't really need any huge amount to invest in that. When you the two online shop so apply akwe na ebia in the next month kwa won sabe kan na say be ombenya time process ya eno anu no abusuafo na Kwame Bediako Cheddar aka freedom and justice waba Ghana say or the Ghana for freedom bre omo na ma share NPP for manifesto ma share NDC for manifesto metimi I can boldly say metimi asimibu aka say yampani for the vision ba kokura ni omani so vision ba kokura mahama manifesto kra de che say NDC for manifesto I am mahama manifesto like I say minim somebody sometimes somebody Ghana dia agro bio ana one thing that I've also realized like omo Ghana na nkasa na omo pay change omo nya omo age so omo person mo change because many senka ye ka say ye ka o de yen ko by manifesto a can rate NDC for manifesto last if you want something about NPP for what the problem wo mo was manifesto we wo ho a aden na mo ye position no now mo na mo teso na mo ye president na mo ye government in power no aden na mo ntimi implement this policies and I said these visions na mo wo no wait to watch about dream today e dey afọ we ho me din e dey Richard Adadimensa Collins aha I Richmond Media make sure say you subscribe say the be ya na wa share video we say the be ya unu ya bi so e wo ba bi a obenya bi a hwe peace I'm signing out.